Albuera is not just a place on the map. It is a story written in the soil, in the songs, in the smiles of its people. A town where history does not sit in the past, it walks beside us. In every barangay, in every hand that builds, plants, and prays. Albuera, walay sama. This is more than just a slogan. It is a way of life, where differences become bridges, not barriers. Where culture is not just kept, but lived. This is Albuera, walay sama. Kultura, Kasaysayan, ug Kinabuhi.
The Municipal Hall of Albuera is where governance meets culture. It is the bridge between the old and the new. It is where traditions are honored and modern decisions are made in the spirit of Walay Sama. It is the seat of the local government of Albuera. It was constructed during the time of the municipal mayor Aquilino Cantiga Sr. around 1928 to 1948. In 1955, a new municipal building was constructed about 20 meters beside the old building, which is functional until the present. The Municipal Hall is also a symbol of continuity. It has stood through storms, through changes in leadership, through shifting seasons of progress and challenge, and yet it remains a place where people still say, we will listen, we will decide together. Walay sama.
But beyond its walls, another force shaped the town's life more quietly, the Sibugay River. From the same place where councilors meet to discuss the future of the municipality, plan flow out like the river itself, toward the field, the homes, and the heart of the people. Symbolically, they are one from the hand of the people, one from the hand of the nation. The Sibugay River feeds the farms that feeds the families. It waters the crop that sustains the livelihood that funds the town's progress. Located in Barangay Poblacion, this river plays a significant role in the formation of the early settlements that later led the establishment of the town of the Albuera. As the history written about the river and its constituents says, this river always threatened the lives of the people that occupied along its sides. Most of the settlers agreed that the poblacion would be situated in Barangay Balugo. But a strong-willed Sibugaynon, Eusebio Calabia, who later became known as Capitan Sebio, suggested that the image of the patron saint be tied on horseback would be driven and left alone by itself. The place where the horse stopped would become the site of the poblacion, thus deciding the controversy among the inhabitants as to the location of the center of the town. The proposal was carried out and the horse was stuck in the deepest marshes in the heart of the Sibugay settlement. The Sibugaynon won and later the church was erected near the beach just across the place where the horse stopped. The Municipal Hall and the Sibugay River are in many ways two sides of the same promises: to nurture, to protect, and to keep walay sama. No grudges, no division between people and the land, between leaders and the citizens.
Rising above the town, Bantay Hari, also known as a baluarte or Bantayan sa Hari, has stood as Albuera's watchtower for generations. From this stone sentry, the town could once see danger, mark time, and call its people to safety. A 3-meter high and 5-meter in diameter Spanish-era watchtower in Barangay Tinagan made of rock and corals.
Nya, kana siya din ha. Ay, ipadamog yung kunyana niya. Makumpot ko nga na ako na yung bulawan. Lagi nakita ko pa ka na ang murag helmet. Dailaw.
The said structure was used by the early settlers to forewarn residents against Moro marauders. Today, it no longer looks out for raiders or storms, but it still watches over the same people, reminding them of where they came from. This is more than a structure of stone and corals. It is a symbol of vigilance, of resilience, of a community that has always believed in protecting its own. Through wars, through seasons of change, Bantay Hari has remained silent but speaking volumes. More than a fort or a tourist stop, Bantay Hari has become a quiet teacher. It reminds ALBUERA that to protect a community, you do not only need walls and weapons, you need trust, understanding, and a shared promise, walay sama.
Not far from the shadow of Bantay Hari, another kind of guardian stands quietly. Old houses of ALBUERA. These are not just buildings left behind by time. They are homes that have witnessed generations grow, fiestas celebrated, and tragedies overcome. Every wooden beam, every chipped window, every worn staircase carries a story that the town still remembers. From these houses, the past can still be felt through the creak of the floor, the scent of the old wood, and the memories etched into every wall. Johnson Pulikit Residence. The Johnson Pulikit Residence is a Filipino colonial house located in Damulaan, ALBUERA, Leyte. Owned by Diego Johnson, the house is made of wood with the trunks of mulave, which serve as pillars. It was constructed in the 1890s and is still being used until the present. It is considered as one of the oldest structures in the barangay. De la Peña Residence. The De la Peña Residence is an Oriental-inspired Filipino house located in Damulaan, ALBUERA, Leyte. Made in 1920 and owned by Aurelio and Bonifacia Johnson, it is a two-story house mostly made of mulave wood. Casa de Fian. Casa de Fian was constructed in the early 1930s of Spanish colonial architecture of premium hard quality wooden flooring with oriental interior components. Balay ni Pore. Balay ni Pore is situated at Real Street, ALBUERA, Leyte, along the highway. It was constructed on the year 1907 to 1915 and is currently owned by Manuel Pore. As we walk through the old houses of ALBUERA, we realize that culture does not live only in grand structures or distant history. It lives in the quiet corners of these homes, where elders still sit in the windows, where laughter still echoes in the hallways, and where new generations are taught to treat the past with care. These houses are not museums that close at sunset. They are still inhabited, still loved, and still evolving. They show that heritage and a modern life coexist, not in conflict, but in harmony.
From the private lives of the families in the old houses of ALBUERA, the story now moves into the public life of the town, into the classrooms, the corridors, and the memories of the old Gabaldon building. If the old houses are the homes that nurtured generations, then the Gabaldon building is the school that shaped them. It is where children first held pens, raised their hands, and sang the national anthem. This was designed through Gabaldon law, constructed sometime in the early 19,000s during the American regime in the Philippines. The old Gabaldon building is more than just a structure of wood and galvanized iron. It is a witness of Albuera's education, the quiet engine behind the town's progress. Through its doors passed not only by students, but also dreams. Dreams of lifting families, of serving the community, of making Albuera a better place. This building was built by Americans. During World War II, the Japanese Imperial Army used this as an interrogation center for Filipino veterans and guerrillas. Every day, all Filipino war veterans and guerrillas gathered in front of the building for exercise with the Japanese Army. The building was designed for energy efficiency because it allows air circulation. The floor, made of kiln-dried wood, was elevated. Wooden walls and ceilings, awning windows were made of capiz shells. The galvanized roofing was made in USA. Posts were made of hardwood. In many ways, the principle of Walay Sama were first practiced inside these walls. Children learned to share desks, to listen to one another, and to stand together in school programs. Teachers modeled respect, fairness, and patience, values that later became the town's own. The Gabaldon building and the old houses share the same mission: to raise people who remember where they come from and who choose to live in peace with those around them.
Villa Romana. From the orderly rows of desks in the old Gabaldon building, where facts and figures were once taught, the story now turns into something softer and deeper, into the realm of stories passed from mouth to mouth into the town's own legend, Villa Romana. For the children who once sat in those classrooms, history was not only written in books, it was also whispered in the shade of leaves, told under the stars, and shared in the quiet corners of the town. And among those stories, one stands out, a tale that blurs the line between memory and myth. According to Sitio Malitbog, Albuera later, the name Ramona originated from a beautiful lady named Muna. Young men admired her, and one day, she swam there but disappeared. The parents didn't search for her, believing she had gone with someone. The place was later called Muna. Pitong Bernardino and Paran Mascarino owned the land, which was later bought by engineer Menelenio Saldivar and renamed Villa Ramona. Many cut trees to build a rest house, and strange events began. People heard baby cries, saw big dogs, attack, gigantic demons, white ladies, and unidentified creatures. They also heard cars wink out even with the gate closed. Due to these events, the Zaldivars sold the property to a woman from Ormoc married to a foreigner. They named it Villa Risa. They tried to build a concrete fence along the Kasaysayan River, but it collapsed. They faced many misfortunes, and even their caretaker left the place due to unexplained discomfort. The legend of Villa Romana, like the old houses, like the Gabaldon building, and like the Bantay Hari, is a reminder that Albuera's heritage is not only about what can be seen, it is also about what is felt.
From the whispered legend of Villa Romana, where stories blur between memory and myth, the map now leads us to a very different kind of relic, once silenced by time, but not forgotten. In the peaceful park of ALBUERA, Japanese howitzers rest under the open sky. Once instruments of war, they now stand as silent monuments to survival, to the town's ability to live through conflict and still choose peace. The Japanese howitzers in the park are more than abandoned war relics. They are a reminder that ALBUERA has known conflict but has chosen not to be defined by it. These cannons once symbolized occupation, fear, and distance. Now, they symbolize something else. A town that has turned the tools of war into objects of reflection, and the space of fear into a space of leisure and unity. It was believed that 4 to 6 members of the Japanese Imperial Army were assigned to a cannon, and they belonged to a certain prefecture or unit in Japan who are neighbors of relatives. This army are assigned to invade Manchuria. After their successful invasion in southern China, they moved out and reached the Philippines through Surigao Strait. They were deployed in ALBUERA. They had heavy encounter with American liberation soldiers, where most of them died in their defense at Sitio Palanas, where mass grave of Japanese is located. As the remaining Japanese forces retreated, they did self-destruction of the cannons. One of the howitzers with serial number 317 was traced with the Japanese Defense Ministry. From the tales of Villaramana, where the past is wrapped in mystery, to these howitzers, where the past is etched in iron, ALBUERA's cultural map shows one consistent truth. The town remembers, but it doesn't harbor hate.
From the howitzers resting quietly in the town park, the map now leads us a little further to Sitio Palanas, where another chapter of ALBUERA's wartime is carved in stone. If the howitzers in the park are relics of the war's presence, then the World War II monument in Sitio Palanas is a testament to the war's cost. It stands not as a celebration of violence, but as a memorial to those who suffered, resisted, and survived. World War II Monument Landmark is a concrete structure located in Sitio Palanas, Damulaan, ALBUERA, Leyte. Locally known as Pungso, the said landmark is a small monument where the names of the local heroes during the World War II are engraved. The World War II monument in Sitio Palanas is more than a marker of time. It is a pledge from the town to remember, not the weapons that cross its soil, but the lives that were shaped, broken, and rebuilt by the war. Here, names may be inscribed, stories may be told in murals or plaques, and silences may speak louder than words. This is where the community returns, not only to mourn, but also to affirm the lessons of war must never be forgotten. From the howitzers in the park, where metal has been softened by time and flowers, to this monument in Sitio Palanas, where the memory of people is kept sacred. ALBUERA's cultural map reveals a deeper truth. The town does not glorify war. It honors those who carried its weight.
From the quiet dignity of the World War II monument in Sitio Palanas, the map now turns its gaze higher to Pungso Hill, also known locally as Bungtod. If the monument down below carries the memory of lives lost in defense and struggle, then this hill holds the memory of those who once occupied Albuera's land. The Japanese soldiers who once made this hill their base during the war. Over time, the same hill became a resting place for the fallen, a graveyard for Japanese soldiers who never saw their homes again. Where once there may have been tents, trenches, and watchful eyes, there is now only earth, wind, and quiet. Pungso Hill or Bungtod is more than a rise in the land. It is a place where Albuera's wartime story is literally embedded in the soil. From this vantage point, Japanese soldiers once kept watch over the town, mapping the landscape with eyes trained not on culture, but on strategy and control. Today, no flags wave, no guns fire. Instead, the hill stands as a quiet memorial, not only to the Japanese who died, but to the Albuera residents who lived through their presence, and who later chose to let this hill become a place of memory, not revenge. The fact that Pungso Hill serves as a graveyard for Japanese soldiers speaks volumes about the town's spirit. By allowing these foreign soldiers to rest in its soil, Albuera doesn't erase the pain of the past, but it also refuses to keep it burning.
From the solemn height of Pungso Hill, where the land holds memory of war, the map now descends to the heartbeat of everyday life, into the market of Albuera, where stories, smells, and the tradition mingle in one crowded, cheerful place. Here, among the stalls of vegetables, fish, and dried goods, one familiar sight catches the eye. Bundles of labtingao, and behind them, smiling, sometimes laughing, sits one of the town's quiet keepers of culture, our interviewee, Nanay Daya.
Kuan, kini siya nga ako nang sabta na nang paglatingaw sa ako rasad mama. Nahibawan ako nga pamagi sa paglatingaw.
Ay natudloan.
Ako sa sila gitudloan para masab sila kasabot. Kung mo may ato pangita, isip ko na sa sila gitudloan. Tingaw. Hindi na may gutsa katipla na siya kaya nga ahos, na paminta, na suka. Hindi ni siya lamit. Kani siya kanip. Na may uban po niya kanang lamaon na siya na pinaparat sa labod para sa dipindi mangut sa isda kani dagko man ni. Ang kinahanglan sa limo sa niya siya sa sin.
The market vendor who has been making and selling labtingao for decades. She is not just a seller. She is a cultural bearer. The living thread that connects the generations who once learned the process to the new customers who now taste them for the first time. Her stall is not just a place to sell food. It is a classroom without chairs, where anyone who pauses and listens can learn. Where the taste of labtingao comes from the stories attached. Through her, the practice of labtingao making lives on. She teaches other vendors and reminds customers why this dish is more than just any flavor. It is a taste of Albuera's resilience, of its ability to grow something fresh and good, even from the shoreline that has known hardship.
The Tinanan shoreline is Albuera's most fluid cultural heritage. A natural border that never stands still, yet shaped the town's identity in quiet, powerful ways. From here, the sea feeds the table of the town. Fish, shell, seaweed, and the catch of each tide are the raw ingredients behind the meals that nourish families, including the very dishes that accompany labtingao on a many in a different dinner plate. Along the coast, generations of Albuera residents have learned to live with the sea's temper, to respect its storm, to welcome its calm, and to take only what it can give without breaking its rhythm. The shoreline is not just a place to fish, it's a place to gather, to rest, to dream.
Certain challenges for the culture and the arts. First thing is the lack of funding, especially for the artists. So, I believe Manggo, the government does not priority artists, or there are, when we rate gani ko kasi mga important na mga activities, permigid behind ang culture and the arts. So, lack of funding for the artists, and dili nila ma-sustain ang ilang work. So, when ang isa ka artist is lack of funds, so ang ilang mga trabaho po, like ang mga pay, mahal kaayo siya, so dili gid nila ma-show or mahatag og best ang ilang talent. Though they have budget on their own, but sometimes if we feature it in our municipality, the government should come up also a plan for that their works will be successful or will be shared to the municipality. The next challenge also is the cultural preservation. Since we did the cultural mapping also before, way back 2020, I guess, or 2021, there are certain cultural na mga artifacts or mga butang na na-conserve pagid siya, naapagid noon siya. But, busod na po ang lack of funding, di wala tayong mga museum where to put our cultural na mga things or cultural na artifacts. So kana, mo boils down gid yapon siya sa pinaka number one na challenges ang lack of funding. But bisan og lack atong funds, the culture and the arts na council in partnership with the ALBUERA Municipal Tourism Office and also the Office of the Mayor, we conduct several activities. Press karon this month is the National Food Month celebration. So what we did, even nga kanang we have a cooking show, we always incorporate or we always put a certain part of the culture like the Latino. So what we did during our food month celebration is amo sila gipaluto og Latino in many ways. So like nanatay Latino pasta, na sisig Latino, na Latino canapé, and then later on amo ra sad siya na add sa culture and the arts nato nga libro. So, on the process pa man po ang pag-make again sa book. And then, second is, we always priority and we always celebrate the culture and the arts month, the Heritage Month, which is every May. So, na naman tayo mga na-identify, if you see ganun sa akong background na ang mga atong very own nga mga dances kaniyang halabasyon, hinuyukoy, and magugud. And the models here are the dancers itself. They are also educators, and they are also part of the cultural mappers. So every time we have a Heritage Month, kaning three dances is premium yun nato siya i-appeal sa event. So we have contest na atay contest na kanang singing contest which features also kanang mga atong mga local na mga songs, atong mga local kanang mga Bisaya, na po'y Tagalog, kanang ato own, dili lang punta ni kuan sa ALBUERA lang, but kani siyang ato, primigini nato kina-show. So also, ongoing hapon ang atong Cebu Festival, which is usa sa nagpa-boost sa atong tourism and cultural heritage diri sa ALBUERA, kay ginabuhat na gina nato siya yearly since if I'm not mistaken, since 2010 or 2009 na anagid na siya ang kanang Cebu Festival. So to wrap this all up, even though we have the lack of funds, we still have the initiative to promote our cultural heritage through these kinds of activities, and also partnering with the educators and then the local community. And then so far, diri sa ALBUERA, no, maka-proud man po kay if ever na ay tayo mga activities na di na to i-conduct is mo participate na ito na.
Uli na ako sa atua ang adlaw
From Bantay Hari watching over the town, to the old houses where families grew and stories were told, to the old Gabaldon building where young minds were shaped, to the legend of Villa Romana where memories softened into myth, to the Japanese howitzers in the park where war tools rest in peace, to the World War II monument in Situ Palanas where sacrifice is honored, to Pungso Hill where even the enemy finds rest in the town soil, to the hands of the vendor in the market who keeps the tradition of labtingaw making alive, and now to the shoreline where the sea feeds the people and shapes their way of life. Albuera's cultural map becomes complete. It is a map that honors the past but never lets it chain the future. It respects nature and treats every heritage, tangible and intangible, as a shared treasure. Because in Albuera, the land, the sea, the monuments, and the people all speak the same language, the language of Walay Sama. Albuera, Walay Sama.